Chapter 231 Purple Shadow Lion. Even though Huo Yua didn't say anything to Zhang Lisun, he was sharing his spiritual detection with her, and though the others didn't really understand what Huo Yua did, Zhang Lisun could feel it. There were more than 100 bloody baboons, each of which was about 50 meters apart. Together, they formed a circle about 500 meters in diameter. The distance wasn't that balanced or perfectly even, but it was good enough. These baboons were now frozen corpses, and the smell of fresh blood was a lot weaker than before. Furthermore, they served in other purposes. Huo Yua told Zhang Lisun before he sat down to cultivate that they could rest here peacefully tonight. Roar. A deafening and furious roar could be heard in the distance. It sounded like rumbling thunder as it echoed out vigorously. Everyone was circling Wang Yua and resting at this moment, and they were all in a half-meditative state, which they could get out of at any time. Besides Huo Yua, who had yet to recover all his soul power, everyone else had replenished most of their soul power from the battle with the bloody baboons. Zhang Lisun sprang to her feet and gazed in the direction of that ear-splitting roar. She could tell from how the sound changed that this soul beast was probably charging right towards them. This night was turning out to be really hectic. Huo Yua opened his eyes. He didn't get to his feet, his eyes turning a bright golden color. He activated spiritual detection once more, but he only shared it with Zhang Lisun in order to save soul power before he focused in a certain direction. A purple shadow quickly appeared within Huo Yua's spiritual detection. It was a lion that had purple fur all over its body. It was a little petite compared to typical lion-type soul beasts, and it was only about 1.5 meters long, while its shoulders were only about 60 to 70 centimeters above the ground. However, its purple mane was gorgeous, and its fur was a shiny purple color as well. Its entire body shone with faint purple light, and its huge tail swung left and right behind it as its nose quivered subtly, clearly trying to distinguish the sense about. This purple lion paused momentarily to assess things, then started to move once more. It moved with incredible speed, and left a series of afterimages behind as it darted forward in a flash. It covered 2 kilometers in the time needed for 1 or 2 breaths, and it was coming exceedingly close to the baboon corpses that Huo Yua had laid out around them. This purple lion was apparently attracted by the smell of blood coming from the bloody baboons. Zhang Lisun's expression changed slightly. That's a purple shadow lion. Watch out, everyone. It's just too quick. We might have to rely on you now. Ruro. Get ready for battle. Yuao. You'll have to use your spiritual type soul skills to impede its speed. This purple shadow lion has at least 10,000 years of cultivation. They had just slain a bunch of 10,000-year bloody baboons, but Zhang Lisun hadn't been as nervous facing the bloody baboons, and she was now against the purple shadow lion. Cultivation played an important part in distinguishing a soul beast's strength, and therefore there was a separation between 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, and 100,000 years. However, a mere difference in cultivation didn't represent absolute superiority in strength. Why were the 10 great savage beasts so formidable? It wasn't only because their cultivation levels were exceptionally high, but it was also because they belonged to extremely powerful species. It was also because they contained so much strength in their bloodline that they could live for such a long time. The pack of bloody baboons wasn't weak, but even the baboon king wasn't as terrifying as this purple shadow lion. The purple shadow lion was one of the most frightening species amongst speed-type soul beasts. They were unbelievably quick, and they had a strong preference for eating the hearts of fresh corpses. The lion itself wielded potent venom and possessed several innate skills. If a 10,000-year purple shadow lion faced off against a pack of bloody baboons, it would perhaps be defeated in the end, but it would definitely be able to escape with its life. It would also take the lives of at least a third of the pack. If it was belligerent or determined enough to fight to the end, the bloody baboon pack would be completely vanquished. Li Yongyu's eyes sparkled when he heard Zhang Lisun mention the purple shadow lion. A 10,000-year purple shadow lion could be considered a top-quality game for him if he could absorb it. He knew the 50,000-year bloody baboon king was too strong, and he didn't have the ability to absorb it, but he was confident in absorbing this purple shadow lion. It was lower in cultivation compared to the baboon king, but the speed and offense amplifications were something he needed. The only problem was that the purple shadow lion would definitely tear him to pieces if he were to fight it one-on-one. The lion halted at around 500 meters away from the group. There was a 10,000-year bloody baboon's corpse laid out right in front of it. The lion raised its front paw and immediately hacked at the baboon's chest. Its sense of smell was very sensitive, and it could obviously tell that this bloody baboon had just died not too long ago, and its heart was still fresh. However, right at this moment, a terrifying roar exploded from the baboon's corpse. Boom, boom, boom. A frightening explosion detonated, and the vigorous booming sounds traveled at least 10 kilometers away. A deep crater that was 5 meters deep and more than 30 meters in diameter appeared in the middle of the series of explosions where the purple shadow lion and the baboon's corpse had been located. The lion was indeed quick, and had turned to run when it realized something was amiss. However, no matter how fast it was, it couldn't be faster than the instantaneous explosion. Its frame had just darted out when it was swept away by the terrifying blast, and it hurtled through the air as it flattened countless trees and plants before it finally landed on the ground with a crash. The purple shadow lion was a speed-type soul beast, so its defensive capabilities weren't that great, definitely far inferior to the bloody baboon. This explosion had seared and torn through its flesh to the point where its entire body was badly mangled and mutilated. Everyone came forward to check it out, but this fearsome 10,000-year purple shadow lion was already dead. This meant it was killed by that bloody baboon, and nobody could absorb the soul ring that it produced. Li Yongyu's face was full of regret and a little sad, and everyone's eyes turned toward Huo Yuao, who still hadn't moved from his original position. They stared at the enormous crater on the ground, and then at the purple shadow lion's outcome. Everyone drew a cold breath at the same time. What kind of soul skill is this? How can it be so powerful? Everyone's eyes were different when they came back beside him. Li Yongyu and Mosun's eyes even carried a tinge of admiration and reverence. Li Yongyu had missed the chance to absorb a soul beast suitable for him, but he didn't display a single hint of displeasure. Han Ruo was relatively more familiar with Huo Yuao because of his relationship with Wang Yan, and she immediately asked, "What method did you use, Yuao? How did you trigger such a violent explosion from a few hundred meters away?" It was a soul tool, wasn't it? Certain powerful soul bombs could achieve that. Han Ruo had also heard from Wang Yan that Huo Yuao wasn't just a soul master, he was also a soul engineer. Huo Yuao shook his head and replied, "That wasn't a soul tool. It was my soul skill, called Ice Explosion. This soul skill is quite unique, and can only be used when I come into contact with the target. I can fuse my soul power with the ice after I freeze the target. Normally, it's quite difficult to freeze my opponent over, as that requires a long process, unless my opponent is lower in cultivation than I am. However, it's different for corpses. The bloody baboon's soul power hadn't dissipated yet after it had just died, so I took this chance to use Ice Explosion to seal their soul power inside, equivalent to me creating a bomb. I used almost all my soul power just now to turn all these corpses into similar bombs." Zhang Lisun had a look of revelation as she said, "No wonder you told me that we can rest here in peace tonight. The force of your ice explosion must be related to the frozen body's strength. Yes?" Huo Yuao nodded and said, "That purple shadow lion was unlucky because it came up to a 10,000-year bloody baboon. I reckon that a 1,000-year baboon's corpse wouldn't be able to kill it, but it's a pity, because that purple shadow lion was quite suitable for Senior Li." Li Yongyu hurriedly said, "It's all right. The Great Star Do Forest only has soul beasts inside and nothing else, and we can slowly look for more." After a day's worth of interaction, Huo Yuao, Wang Donga, and Wang Qiu had given both him and Mosun a strong and lasting impression. It was needless to discuss Wang Qiu. Her violent and brutal fighting style petrified the both of them. The girl was pretty, but they would only want to look at her in admiration from a distance. She was just too powerful. Huo Yuao's display of his all-around abilities awed them both. He had formidable fighting strength, and his ability to control his spiritual detection truly broadened their horizons. He had even taken over Han Ruro's position as main control, so it was needless to say how advantageous and superior his martial soul was. Li Yongyu naturally wanted to have a good relationship with a junior like Huo Yuao. There was no doubt that Huo Yuao was one of the core students of the Inner Courtyard's next generation, and he had 2 martial souls, as well. Han Ruo blurted out, "Your ice explosion is exceptionally ferocious. I'm never coming close to you if we ever have another practice combat. I imagine it's not difficult for you to freeze someone over with the power of your ultimate ice." Huo Yuao smiled and didn't explain any further. Ice explosion wasn't that powerful if it was triggered without anything else. It was most powerful when he touched his opponent with his left hand, which contained the skill, and when he infused ice explosion into his opponent's body the moment he or she was frozen. Doing so was actually relatively difficult. However, ever since Huo Yuao had inherited the Ice Empress 3 ultimate skills, bearing up the Smallest Glacier and Ice Explosion had risen to a drastically different level, but he couldn't use this combination easily. Jang Lisan clapped and said, all right, since we have Huo Yuan's ice explosion to protect us, we should all take this chance to rest. Wang Qiuo will probably need until daybreak to absorb her soul ring, and we will continue our journey after she's done. We are quite fortunate, as we have already found 2 soul rings for absorption within such a short period of time. I hope we will have similar good fortune in the days to come. The night indeed passed peacefully with ice explosion to protect everyone. Some soul beasts did attempt to come near from time to time, but they didn't even have to trigger the ice explosion, as the beasts scampered away after seeing the bloody baboons' corpses. Not every soul beast was as powerful as the purple shadow lion after all. This was the hybrid region's central area, and there were 10,000-year soul beasts around, but they were ultimately not the main body. Most of the soul beasts around were only 1,000-year soul beasts. Daybreak. Huo Yuao opened his eyes, and he immediately felt some dampness on his body. It was the forest's morning dew, and the damp and refreshing air was filled with nutrition and life energy. Wang Dongge opposite him naturally opened her eyes at the same time, and they exchanged a smile. Their cultivation before this had yielded impressive results, and Huo Yuao had almost completely restored his soul power. Wang Dongge surveyed her surroundings. Wang Qiuo was still absorbing her soul ring, while the others were still cultivating, and nobody else had woken yet. She stood up quietly and sat down beside Huo Yuao. She used her mouth to gesture at Wang Qiuo and whispered, "Do you really believe that she can find a more suitable soul ring for you?" Huo Yuao nodded lightly and said, "Wang Qiuo is a little arrogant and aloof, but do you think she looks like the kind to tell lies? Her arrogance means she can't even be bothered with telling lies." Wang Dongge grunted and said, "You seem to have a high opinion of her." Huo Yuao smiled as he clasped her tender little hands and brought them before him as he caressed them gently. His hands were warm, and Wang Dongge felt incredibly comfortable as he rubbed her hands, and she subconsciously leaned her head on his shoulder. Wang Dongge whispered, "You're not allowed to get too close to her." Huo Yuao chortled and said, "Why not? You're not confident of yourself anymore?" Wang Dongge snapped, "It's not about confidence. You're so ugly. It's already a good fortune that I'm willing to keep you. Wang Qiuo is so arrogant, so how can she be interested in you? I'm just afraid that you'll waste your time and snub yourself out." Huo Yuao laughed softly and said, "It doesn't matter whether she's interested in me. It's all right as long as you are." Wang Dongge snapped her head around and stared into his eyes as she asked, "Then tell me, is she prettier, or am I prettier?" Huo Yuao answered without hesitation, "You're the prettier one, of course. All the women in the world are separated into 2 categories in my eyes. One of them is you, and the other category is where the other women belong. Only you are pretty in my eyes, and no matter how the other girls look like, they will all look the same to me." Wang Dongge laughed. Her huge and pretty eyes were droopy as she grinned, and she wrapped herself around Huo Yuao's arm. She didn't bother to hide how she liked all this sweet talk. "You have to mean what you say." "Yes." Huo Yuao could feel the warmth and tenderness beside him, and his heart was unnaturally quiet and peaceful. Soul Masters treated the Great Stardow Forest as a place of many dangers, but this place had a taste of paradise to him. A light fog permeated the forest. The air was humid, but that also made that life energy even denser. He had the girl he loved by his side, and his heart was just so warm. It was difficult to describe this contentment that he felt, and he just wanted to sit here like this for a few days without having to move an inch. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.